Dear God, I just want to say thank you so much for bringing me to this moment in time, from my inception and fast forward till today. I want to thank you for every second that went by from my inception to where I am today. Amen. And you should do the same thing too if you're listening to this. Thank God for every second you were alive and for every second that He's going to give you in the future. You don't understand, man. The whole secret to the world is getting to know God, getting stuck to Him, trusting Him, and knowing that He's running the show. When you do that, you're never going to have problems, bro. I can keep saying the same message a billion different ways, and sometimes the people still won't get it. Don't you understand, man? It's all about appreciation. I remember one rabbi said this, and I like this. He said you could describe Judaism in one word: modeh. Modeh means to admit, and modeh means to be thankful. It's one word. That's Judaism. That's the heart of a Yehudi. You understand? If he doesn't have that, then he's a Jew that's off the derech, and we need to bring him back. We need to teach him. And if you try to teach him and he gets mad, then leave him alone. Then God will deal with him. That's when he gets put into a category of feeding the pig. Then Hashem will start to bless him right away, start paying him for everything. You see a wicked person flourishing, for sure you know he's done. Done. How do I know? Because God is paying him in this world. But if you see somebody, sometimes he's up, sometimes he's down, everything's changing constantly, this, that, or things are getting better or worse, but it's moving around. Not that he's ascending and ascending and ascending and ascending. If he's super righteous and he's ascending, there's no contradiction. But when he's wicked and he's ascending, everyone is like confused, like the animals in the farm that see the farmer feed the pig twice. If you know my story, you know what I mean? Then you're going to say what's going on. And then we're going to tell you he's feeding the pig in order to get rid of him. You understand what I'm saying? He's feeding the pig to slaughter it, just like the farmer did. Think about that, yo. He slaughtered it, he barbecued it and roasted and ate it. And then all the other animals got the point why he was feeding him double. Why? Oh, he likes him better. He doesn't like us. What kind of an owner is this? Or wrong. It was all justice, and this is how God runs the world. You understand? It's very deep, man. And speaking about God's justice and about appreciation, what a beautiful story I'm about to tell you right now. There were these two twins. I forgot. Brittany and Ashley, if I'm not mistaken. And Abby and Brittany. Abby and Brittany. They're Siamese twins. Now let me explain to you what Siamese twins are before I get into the story, and then you're going to get a good idea of what's going on. So if you would see a person born with one body, two heads, those are conjoined twins. They happen to be conjoined by the whole body. It's one body, and they're conjoined at the head, I guess, or at the shoulder, and then it's two heads coming out. So it looks something like it's really kind of weird and unnatural and what's going on, and it's a great way to prove that there's a God. Because if you see that God makes everybody perfect, and then there's a few things here or there that are so out of place, obviously someone's running the show. So once you know that, then we have to ask ourselves, like, why would God make somebody like that? So I'm going to tell you what the reason is that I learned. There could be many other reasons, I don't know. But this reason makes the most sense to me. Is that usually it was two people in their last lives that wanted to kill each other, that just didn't like each other. It could be husband and wife. They wanted to, they hired hitmen to kill each other. I don't know, just to a level of hate that you couldn't even believe. Basically wanting somebody dead. Could be two gang members. I don't really care. Whatever Hashem wants, it's going to be. But I'm just telling you, it's two people in their last life that hated each other to death. To death. You got to understand, it's not hate. It's abhorring the person to death. Wishing him death all day and night. And he does it to you. So it's two enemies. So if you have some good merit and you did some good things, because you obviously can have a problem with just this one person. So God, in his ultimate wisdom and justice, what he does is he's going to give you heaven, no doubt about it, because you deserve it. But what is he going to do about all this anger and hate and all the cursing that you did? Cursing someone to die, it's not a light thing. So what Hashem is going to do is he's going to make you and your enemy come as Siamese twins. And now you have to live with each other. And 30 years, 40 years, usually they die young, unfortunately, or fortunately for them, because the minute they die, it's automatic heaven. These two girls, Abby and Brittany, automatic heaven. Automatic. Once they leave this world, it's automatic heaven. Automatic. 1,000,000,000%. They're actually in a better place than us right now, because we don't know where we're going to end up. So they're already getting their punishment here. They're dealing with it. They're fixing it. You see that they get along and they love each other. This is really deep, because I'm about to tell you something I read about them that really made me sad, but it's so beautiful. And it's such a beautiful lesson for us to learn to be like that with God. So look what it says. It says, when Abby fell ill, she had to be bedridden. And with her, Brittany also had to be in bed, even though she was perfectly healthy. This made Brittany bring up the topic of separation. But when she brought up the topic, Abby started to cry. And she got sad because she was gonna feel so abandoned, because now her sister that was attached to her for like 12 years wants to be separated, because now she's sick and she's forced to be with her in the bed. So Abby started to cry when she brought it up. So Brittany told her, I promise you, after I see what it did to you and how it hurt you, I'll never bring it up again. And she never did. And now I don't know how old they are. You're like 35. They're like teachers at a school. And one kid was cute. They were like asking the kids in the class, what do you think of them? And it's kind of strange. You see one person with two heads. So one kid goes, listen, they're great teachers, but the only problem is we can't get away with anything, because while one is writing on the blackboard, the other one is looking at the kids. It's crazy. Amazing, amazing. That's how Hashem is running the show. When it looks like he's not even running the show, it's the proof that he's running the show. The Holocaust, perfect proof that he's running the show. Perfect proof. And then the day that he wanted it to end and the liberation to commence, it commenced. Just like that. Be'ito. You know what it means, be'ito? He feeds them be'ito in their proper time. Rain, when it doesn't come in the proper time, can be a mudslide. Rain, when it doesn't come in the proper time, cannot benefit the plants the way it's supposed to. It has to be be'ito. You don't understand, man. With me right now, let's close our eyes and let's take our minds into the middle of space. So imagine now we're just floating in space. And now we look down and we see the earth rotating around the sun. And we know inside that ball that's rotating around the sun, there are people. And we see millions and billions of stars rotating all around. Nothing crashing. This is another miracle. Like, how are things not crashing? If it's all moving around in cohesion, in a perfect symphony. It's unbelievable. And then you start to really understand, like, wow, somebody really is running the show. And then you add in all the emotions, and then what goes around comes around, and then nature and all these other things. And you'd have to be really either dumb or a real hater of God not to see it. I'm sorry, there's no other way to put it. There really is no other way to put it. Because you cannot be that dumb that you cannot see what I just said. You have to be smart enough, at least with the basic of knowledge. No, what I'm saying is 100% true. You have emotion. The dog, when he pees on the carpet and the rug and he's not supposed to, he puts his head down and he cries because he's ashamed. The dog. Somehow you don't feel shame? Of course you feel shame. I'll tell you a beautiful story about shame. This is really for the women and for the men with the way they talk, but really it's for the women. Shame. I'm going to show you what a beautiful thing fear and shame is. I'm going to show you. When Adam and Eve ate from the knowledge of tree of good and evil, right? When they ate from that tree, what's the first two things they gained? So now we have a tree, and we're telling you that if you eat from this tree, it's the tree of knowledge. You're going to gain tremendous knowledge. The minute they ate from that tree, two things they realized right away, and this is straight knowledge. One was they had fear because they went against God's word. That's knowledge. And the other one was shame. They were ashamed. You understand? Those are two feelings they had right away. You eat from the tree of knowledge and you gain these two things. That means those two things are wisdom. And I'll prove it to you. Reshit Chochmah Yirat Hashem. The foundation of wisdom is to fear God. I don't get it. Yes, there's two fears. Fear fear of the punishment, and fear of yir'ah, like in awe, you're in fear of his greatness, no problem. That's the foundation of wisdom. And shame, you're a girl, married, and you're not dressing modest, you should feel shame. You should feel shame, absolutely. You shouldn't feel comfortable showing your body to some guy on the street that's married to another girl that's having lustful thoughts, about you. No, that's not kosher. That's not good. That's machtia rabin. That means you're making other people sin. You don't want that attached to your soul. So to feel shame is a good thing. You're a dude. You talk every word. F this, F that, F this, F that. And now you go to church, or you go to synagogue, or you go wherever, and you start cursing like that. What are you, normal? It means you have no shame. I saw a girl yesterday. Bro, I can't even believe I'm saying this, but I'm going to say it. And how hard was it for me not to get out of my car and really give this girl a speech like she never had in her life. So I get to a light. I look to my right. I see some black girl get out of her car and start twerking. Now this light's like a 2-minute light. Bro, just in a bikini. Just pops out of her car in a bikini. Nobody's in the car with her, bro. She's dolo. She's in the car. She just jumps out of nowhere and starts twerking all over the car, yo. Rubbing against it, like thrusting against it. Putting her leg on the hood. Yo, come on, bro. And I'm looking to the right of me. I could have sworn these people were Jewish, yo, if I'm not mistaken. Young kids, maybe 16, 17, right away they pull out their phone. And I'm thinking to myself, yo, when you do that, you encourage this behavior. You understand? Then I look to my left. I see a family, a mother, a wife, a husband, kids. I'm like, yo, man, what a dirty, nasty look. I don't care if she's black, she's white, she's green, she's purple. I don't care. It has nothing to do with the color. It has to do with the attitude and the shame. And there is none. And the youth today, they're losing their shame, bro. And that's a huge problem. Because the further away you get from God, the less you recognize what shame is. You become so immersed in a culture of dirtiness that you don't understand that the devil literally just took your brain, made you get out of your car. Could you imagine if your grandmother that died popped up right there while you were twerking on your car? Can you imagine the shame you would feel? You'd probably die. And I know that's true because you're a human being, so you have shame. It's in you. It's just not coming out. You understand what I'm saying? And this is the biggest problem that I have with the world today, is they keep getting further and further away from God, and then they play dumb like they don't understand why the world is such a mess. The world is such a mess because you keep playing with God, bro. You deny him. You don't admit he's real. Every miracle you see, you chalk it up to coincidence. How many coincidences could there be? I mean, after a while, even a statistician is going to admit it's not coincidence. There's a pattern. God is running the show. It's so obvious. Man, this world, bro, whew, it is a dirty world. But you know what? Let's talk about something positive, like blessing Hashem. When I'm about to drink my tea. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shakol niyeh b'dvaro. I want to tell you why I did that. You know why I did that? Because when I used to say the bracha, I would say, Baruch Hashem, Eloheinu melech haolam, shakol niyeh b'dvaro. I say kind of fast, but one rabbi I heard the other day say, if you're going to say it, Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, shakol. And I like that, like in 3 different ways. 1, 2, 3. 3 cadences. You know what we learned? We learned that when you daven, don't get a speeding ticket. You know what I mean? Don't daven fast, bro. Better you say half the prayers and say them the right way than to rush through all of them. I promise you that's true. Think about it. Think about what would Hashem appreciate more? You baked Hashem a cake. So you gave him a full cake and it was not so good, or only half the cake fresh. Obviously not eating, but you only could make half or whatever. You were lazy, you didn't get the ingredient, you didn't get enough flour, you didn't get, so it came out to half a cake, but it was delicious. Hashem would appreciate the half a cake more because you put more love into it, put more time into it. I like that. Let me get one more sip of my tea. By the way, if you ever want to drink my tea, let me tell you what's in my tea so you know. It's spring honey. It's from Publix. I think it's called Twinning is the name of the company. It's called Very Berry, and a little bit of olive oil. I always put a little bit of olive oil. You know why? Because if you drink olive oil, it's very healthy for your body. It lubricates all the muscles and the bones and everything. And another thing it does, which is amazing, is it helps you kind of look young. You know why? Because the olive tree is the longest living tree. It lives 1,000 years. So it makes sense to drink from that oil. It will give you life. Obviously, you have to do the right thing. Obviously, you have to follow the laws. Obviously, you have to fix your flaws. But we see that's not true because Hashem is giving life even to the wicked. No contradiction. We told you earlier, sometimes he has to feed the pig. And even while he's feeding the pig, he's doing it out of love because he's paying you here. So he loves you because he's paying you with the hopes that you're going to change later. And some people do. And some people do. Amen. That's good. So, let me give you something really deep right now that you're going to like. I'm going to show you how the Satan is constantly fooling us. Lovely. So listen to this. If me and you were to climb Mount Everest right now, right? Let's say it took us a week and a half, snowstorm, rain, this, that, you slipped, I grabbed you, everything, amazing trip. And in the end, we made it to the top of Mount Everest. We took out our phones, we took some selfies, we made a video, we posted it to Instagram, we were jumping on top of the mountain, we popped a bottle, we called our mom, we were like, yo, that's it, we did it. And you take that feeling that you feel at that moment, that is like euphoric. I don't think anybody could take that away from us, right? We would have a euphoric feeling. Now, when we were done after 10 minutes of jumping and celebrating, because then it dies down, I would say to you, do you know how the only way we could get that feeling back is? We're never going to be able to recapture that feeling again. You understand that, right? Even now, if we watch the video, we'll never be like we were at that moment. So he would look at me with the saddest face in the world. And he'd say, wow, you're right. But what's going on? I said, I'll tell you what's going on. The only way that we can reach that feeling again is by going all the way down the mountain and climbing it again. You understand? This is a false sense of euphoria. You understand? Real euphoria, real happiness is eternal. You look at your kid when he was a little kid and how he grew up and how proud you are of him. That's eternal. Never gonna lose that feeling. Every time you see him doing something good, you're gonna smile and that feeling is gonna come right back. But this, climbing Mount Everest, wasting a week and a half where you could have been studying Torah and getting closer to Hashem, come on. That feeling is gonna come. It's gonna be fleeting. That's what it is. It's a fleeting feeling. And that's what I wanted to teach you. That's the deal that the Satan makes with you. Smoke a cigarette. Why? Because it's right now. It's cash. Cash me out now. You know, you could get $50 now, but if you wait another week, it'll be 100. No, cash me out now. That's the Satan. And on top of cashing you out now, it's a fake deal. Fake deal. I'm telling you, man. I just proved it to you at Mount Everest. The only way we could feel that euphoria again is to climb the mountain and go through the whole week and a half of torture. Facts. But with Torah, it's not like that. Torah, right now, I'm studying Torah. I could feel like I just climbed Mount Everest. Why? Because I'm stuck to God. You understand? You need to get stuck to God, so you climb a mountain hoping you'll get closer. I could be in the basement and I'll get stuck to God. I could be in the sauna in my building, which is in like a basement, and I'm more stuck to God than you. You understand? It's not to brag or boast. It's because I have Hashem in my heart. You don't. And the whole point is to get him there. And if you do, and you're listening to this, then God should bless you 1,000,000,000 times, man. Because today in this world, to have God in your heart is very rare. Very rare. And don't try to come up to me and convince me, no. Don't be these self-righteous, optimistic, love is love, and all this garbage. Deal with the reality, man. Be an idealist, you know what I mean? Look in front of you. See with your eyes the state of Judaism. The Jews are grateful to God. The Jews weren't grateful to God in the desert when he was doing miracles for them. And he's going to be grateful now? No, they're not grateful. You see it. Come on, man. I'm not trying to disrespect my nation, bro. I love my nation. This isn't even Lashon Hara about my nation, because I have a video called You're Not Allowed to Talk Bad About the Nation of Israel. But this isn't talking bad about them to putting them down. This is like having a kid in a school and you need to talk about him to show him what's right and wrong. And I'm showing our nation that you're very ungrateful. Look what happened to the Egyptians. You know how ungrateful they were to Yosef? Yosef was the one that saved them. Yosef was the one that made them a powerhouse. And then in the end, you're going to enslave his children? That's not cool. You understand? So because they didn't have gratefulness to Yosef, Hashem punished them. And he punished them bad, bro. 10 plagues out of nature. I don't see God doing that to anybody else. Think about it. One thing about the 10 plagues I like that's so deep is that before the 10 plagues came out or into fruition, Moses had a staff, and on the staff, the 10 plagues were written on the staff, already foreshadowing, a prediction, a prophecy. That's what makes God, by the way, so great. The prophet only prophesizes because of God. Without God, nobody could be a prophet. God is the ultimate prophet. He knows everything that's going to happen before it even happens. And he could change it. And he could flip it. And he could do whatever he wants to it. He can give you a gift for no reason if he wants. And I hope he gives every Jew in Klal Yisrael a free gift right now. Because we need it, Hashem. We need it. Because even after tragedies, we're not waking up. But I have you in my heart deep, Hashem. And I know you're going to be with me soon when I go to Israel. You're going to be with me more. I know that. I know the blessing is going to open up when I go to Israel. I'm talking it into existence. You don't even get it, yo. The power of speech. God made the world with speech. Think about that. Sections in hell if you don't protect your speech. Think about that. I'll tell you a beautiful story about speech right now. There were these two girls on a bus talking about some girl named Rachel. Cannot believe Yossi's gonna marry Rachel. She's disgusting. She's a slob. She doesn't brush her teeth. She's this, she's that. She's too picky. She's high maintenance. He's gonna be the most miserable Jew that ever lived. And these two girls are jealous of this girl, so they're ripping her. Poor Yossi, he's done. All of a sudden, this lady sitting behind him gets up, taps them on the shoulder, and starts giving them a hug. May God bless you. May Hashem bless you. So they looked at her and they said, who are you and why are you saying that? So she said, I'm Yossi's mom. Now I know how this girl Rachel is such a pig. Thank God I know. Now I'm going to call him right now and tell him to call off the wedding. They looked at her. They said, no. Oh my God, we're so sorry. Please. No. She's not that bad. Oh, God forbid. Because they knew everybody in the neighborhood would know that they spoke false Lashon Hara. It's already Motzi Shemra. And they would get destroyed and embarrassed. So they felt bad. So they started begging her. She said, no, I'm sorry. I'm going to call him right now. She picks up the phone. And one of the girls grabbed the phone from her. So she looked at the two girls. You know what she said to them? She said, I feel your shame. And I appreciate it. You know why? Because I'm not Yossi's mother. I'm just a regular Jew that wanted to teach you a lesson about speaking bad about others. It's a great story. And I hope you liked it, because I liked it. I liked the way I told that. Hashem, from this second on, this lecture is going to be extremely special. I don't know how, but something will happen that you will give me in my head to tell the people, to let them know. And you know what the craziest thing about it is? I'm telling you this right now. You're not going to believe me, but God is right next to me right now. He is right. I don't know if he's on my right, my left. He's all over. He's all over. He's in the air that I breathe. You understand? I don't understand. You guys don't understand. You don't know that God exists, right? Because you can't see him. Do you see the air? No, but you still exist. So how come you don't question that? Because the Satan is a genius. You guys got to get it through your head, man. I'll tell you a great story. Listen to the story. And now that I'm telling you, Hashem is in this lecture, which he was before, but there was just something spiritual that happened that I felt. Now you're going to really see him. Look, there was this Russian professor, and he was really egotistical, and it was in Russia. And he had all these plaques. He used to bring his plaques from home and put them in the classroom. This plaque, this. He won this award and this, and he did this, and the best scientist and that. And he wrote books on atheism, and God knows what he did. So this young Jewish kid comes with his mom to the class because she can't find a babysitter. she's taking college classes. She has to get a degree. She's not religious. But her kid was a genius. So she brings her little kid, because she can't find a babysitter, and tells him, sit in the class and don't talk. Because she knows he's like a genius. He's going to yell. He's going to say things if he thinks that the professor is wrong. She's like, don't get me in trouble with this professor. I need this class, okay? So just sit and don't make a beep. He said, okay, mommy. So the guy starts talking, and this is how he starts his speech. He said, I just want everybody to know that if you cannot identify something with your 5 senses, then it does not exist. I want to make sure that you know it. And he bangs on the table. So this little kid raises his hand and goes, you're wrong. So the professor was like, so who is this kid? So he looks at the mom with a look of death, like she was going to turn into like Medusa. So the mother's shaking. So the little kid said, don't look at my mom, look at me. I'm telling you, you're wrong. And I'm not even going to prove you wrong with oxygen. I'm going to prove you wrong even better than that. Because you're saying if you can't identify it with your 5 senses, it doesn't exist. So he said to the teacher, please show me your intelligence. Show me. I want to taste it. I want to smell it. I want to see your intelligence. I can't see it. It's a spiritual thing. It's in your brain. He said to the teacher like this, if I took out your brain and I put it on the table, and I took a brain of a cow and I put it on the table, they look exactly the same. So what gives you such intelligence and not the cow? Where's that intelligence? I can't see it. So according to you, it doesn't exist. So according to you, you're dumb. The mother buried her head under her books, and the professor goes, get out! And she took her kid and got out of the class. What happened after? I don't know. You can make it up. I'm just telling you what happened. Let's not play with Hashem, because in the end you're going to look very foolish. I promise you, yo. I want to tell you something that's crazy. There's a lot of Jews that are anti-Semites, believe it or not. It's not a contradiction. Self-hating Jews, man. Crazy, but it's true. Now these Jews, they love to get acceptance by the Goyim. They love it. So I'm telling you that if, God forbid, 1,000,000,000 times, God forbid, the Arabs took over, like ISIS took over, and they went to go invade Jerusalem, these liberal Jews are going to run, because they fought for the Arabs. Give them the mosque, give them this, give them that, don't judge them, everyone's equal, right? Okay, they're their best friends. They're going to go to these ISIS terrorists to make peace with them and say, we want to be your brothers, we want to be with you. You know what these ISIS terrorists are going to do to these people? Before they decapitate them, they're going to tell them, no, you can never be our brother. Why? We fought for you. We died for you. We even lied for you. We even cried for you. God forbid. So they're going to tell him, how could you be brothers with us when you betrayed your own brothers? Look what you did to the Jews. Now you want to come do it to us? Get out of here. That's all you should get. They shouldn't even decapitate you. They should tell you, get out of here. You should run for your life. Maybe you'll do tshuva after that. Maybe. And I still doubt it. Yo. Because you know what it is? You know what stops a person from... see, I told you Hashem was going to be in me right now. You know what stops a person from doing tshuva? And I've seen it. There's only one thing that will stop a person from doing tshuva. And that's your ego. And that's why my whole message is put your ego down and make peace. Bingo. Now you know. Think about it. That's it. That's the whole secret, right? Think about it. Tisha B'Av is coming up. Motzei Shabbat. You're going to be mourning for the destruction of the temple, hopefully. And if not, I'll mourn for you. For real, I'll mourn for you. Because right now I'm reading the book of Echa, and I'll read it that day. And I'll read other things that will bring tears to my eyes, man. To think that there's a mosque where the Beit HaMikdash is. Just think about that. I want you to wrap your brain around that. And then you tell me that God is not punishing us, that God is not upset with us, that God is not disappointed in us. He is. He is. And it's sad, and it is what it is. But it's not, it is what it is. We could change it by waking up Jews and bringing them back to their Creator. I'm going to tell you this story right now, and you're going to see what it means to wake up your brain. And the reason why this is one of my most favorite stories is because you could tell it to a third grader or you could tell it to a Gadol Hador. That's why I like this story. I really like this tea. All right, listen. There was a big Rav. He gets on the plane, goes to his seat, he sits down, and all of a sudden, a little girl, like 6 years old, comes with a coloring book and sits down next to him. He's kind of confused. He doesn't see any father, the mother, the kid's by himself. Sorry, the girls, the kid's by herself. So, obviously, the stewardess sat her in the chair. They know she has a ticket on that. So he sits, he opens up his Gemara, starts steiging and learning, and he looks at this little girl, and she's in her own little world, coloring. Okay. All of a sudden, the captain gets on the microphone, and he goes, I have bad news. So right away, the rabbi's like in shock. They're in the middle of going on a flight. And all of a sudden, you hear a captain say, I have bad news. It's not a good look. So the captain goes, listen, we're about to hit some severe turbulence. Buckle up and pray to God. So when the rabbi heard this, that was it. He buckled up and he started to pray to God. Please, he was doing tshuva for sins that he did, praying for the plane. Please, Hashem, I'm big tzaddik. Do it for me, my children. On the merit, don't take me. And as he's screaming and crying, he notices that this little girl is literally doing nothing but coloring. She's not praying to God. She's not doing nothing. She's just coloring. And the plane at this point is almost upside down. They're falling, then they go back up. The wing is this, it's flat that way. They're like in a whirlwind. Like they got caught in a tornado in heaven. And this guy is like, that's it. He's ready to give up. He doesn't know what to do. All his prayers are not working. Finally, he says Shema, closes his eyes, and he thinks the end is coming. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, everything kind of stabilizes. The wind dies down, and the captain gets on the microphone and goes, crisis averted. And it was all because of your prayers. Thank you. Wow, the rabbi was impressed even that the pilot spoke like that. So now the rabbi looks at this little girl and he cannot believe. He cannot believe. He has to ask her what's going on. So he goes, can I ask you a question? So she goes, yeah. He goes, I don't understand. The plane almost crashed and you weren't even scared. So she looked at the rabbi and she said, no, I wasn't scared. He said, how can it be? Come on, look at me. I'm like the biggest rabbi that ever lived and I was dying. So scared. How come you weren't scared? So she looked at the rabbi and she goes, you know why I wasn't scared? Because my daddy's the pilot. And I know he would never, ever let anything bad happen to me. And then the rabbi got the point. Look at the trust that she had in her dad. That's the trust that we should have in Hashem. I hope to God you got that story, yo. I swear, I really do. I shouldn't say I swear. Even on my mom video, love you, mommy. I said I swear to my mother while I was talking to her. I usually never say that. I worked on that. I used to say that when I was younger, and the kids were so cute. Because I always taught in Jewish schools, you know what I mean? I wanted to be with my people. So when I used to say, a lot of them were yeshivot. And I wasn't religious in all of them, but thank God the last 5-6 years I was. And I would say, I swear to my mother, I cannot believe that just happened. And this kid would come up to me and say, you're not allowed to swear, you're not allowed to swear. I'd say, you're right. And I apologize for that. Thank you for correcting me. That's how you gotta be with kids, bro. When a kid sees you do something wrong and he comes up to you to correct you, even if he's rude, you show him by being a bigger person what a tzaddik is. You say, you know what, you're right. And I'm not always on the level of a tzaddik, but in that moment that I kept my mouth closed, yes, in heaven they will tell you that's the act of a tzaddik. You got insulted, not even insulted. You took the criticism and accepted it and said you're sorry and fixed it. That's what a tzaddik does. Like I told this kid Nahor yesterday, Israeli kid I met, really chill kid. I told him a beautiful story about Noah. You know how Noah matzah chen b'nei Hashem? Take the word Noah, flip it. It spells chen. Chen is favor. How did Noah find favor in the eyes of God? You know how? The answer is in the name Noah. Noah means to relax, to chill. When you're chill, you're gonna find favor in the eyes of God. When you're benoach, when you're at rest, when you're comfortable. You know when you're comfortable? When you put your ego down and make peace. You know when you're comfortable? When you keep it classy always and forever. Remember that. Always remember that. I want to tell you another story right now. I like this talk because I'm telling a lot of stories with a little bit of talking, and then I just get hit with another story. That's how I know Hashem is in this one deep, because He wants me to tell you this story. There's so many stories I could tell. I'll switch it now. Should I switch it? Let's see what story Hashem really wants me to tell you. I thought it was that one, but now I'm feeling another story. Give me 1 second. Let me see what He wants me to tell you. The story that I'm feeling in my heart right now is that original story. That's the story. So there was this young rabbi, and he came to Syrian rabbis in Syria. So he came to the new congregation Friday night and gave such a speech that everybody in the neighborhood was like in shock, like, this is the rabbi, yalla. Now we found our rabbi. And this rabbi felt like $1 million. So on the way home, he's going to his house, and they all live in the same neighborhood, like in the same complex. So he passes by one of the houses, and he hears them gambling on Shabbat in the backyard. 5 dinar, 10 dinar, 20 dinar. And he's like, what? After the speech I just gave? Maybe they came to the shul, I don't even know who these people are. But it cannot be. If they came to the shul, they're going to get a speech. If they didn't, they're going to get a speech. He couldn't believe how ungrateful a Jew could be to God. You want to go and gamble on Shabbat, go do it in your basement so nobody sees you. But in the backyard, yelling and screaming in the neighborhood where I'm the rabbi, you're not going to disrespect God like that on my watch. So he went to the door, the back door, kicked it open. Shame on you. Gambling on Shabbat. No, Rabbi, we're so sorry. No. They came up to him. The Syrians, they're very respectful to the rabbis. Started kissing his hand. Rabbi, we're so sorry. Please, don't get upset. Tell Hashem we're sorry. No. He said, no, but come on. I'm like the new rabbi of the town. You didn't even come to shul. Come to shul, bro. At least give me a chance to hear me. Most of your neighbors heard me. They're very impressed. I think you guys would really like the message, and I think I would really connect you to God. So they said, you know what, Rabbi? You're right. You know what? We needed this. No problem. Next Shabbat, we coming. And they came. And they became like his favorite congregants. Every Shabbat they come. He's giving them aliyot, letting them do Avdalah, this, that. And then finally, after about a month and a half, they stopped showing up. So that first Shabbat, they didn't show up. The next Shabbat, he said if they didn't show up again, something's not right. He didn't want to be too pushy. He wanted to show them that he trusted them. Okay. The next Shabbat comes, they don't show up. So the whole Shabbat, he's thinking to himself, if I pass by their house and they're gambling on Shabbat, they're done. So he finishes the prayers very quick, does this, does that, doom, jumps out, runs, gets to the house. As he's walking to the house, like the Satan is orchestrating the show, 5 dinar, 10 dinar, 20 dinar. What? Gambling on Shabbat again, they're done. He runs this time to the door with a flying leg kick, Bruce Lee style. Boom! Kicks open the door. He looks at them gambling on Shabbat. Shame on you! One of the guys looks at him, boom, gives him a slap. Another guy spits on him. Another guy takes the dice. Another guy breaks a bottle of wine on his head. He's like in shock. He's dizzy now from the broken glass on his head. He's bleeding. He runs in the middle of the street. He doesn't know where he is. They start chasing him. He's running down the block. They're not even stopping. He realizes he's injured, but he still has enough to run. So he runs and he runs and he runs and he runs. Makes a left turn. He sees he's out of the woods. So he sits down, checks his head. He has a nice little gash on his head. Maybe 7-8 stitches he needs. And he starts to cry. He doesn't understand what's going on. Hashem, how could you do it to me? Why would they do that? And as he's saying that, he sees a shadow over him. And you know who it is? You know who it was? It's not Hashem. Hashem's not going to reveal himself. It was his rabbi. So his rabbi said, what's going on? What's going on? I'm not allowed to be sad on Shabbat. What just happened? So he told his rabbi the story. So his rabbi looked at him and said to him, my son, do you know what happened? He said, no, please, I'm begging you. Explain to me what happened. Do you think you know what happened? If you're listening to the story right now, I'll give you a couple of seconds to think maybe if you know what happened. If you get it right, I'll be so impressed. So the answer is, he told him, the first time you came for the honor of God. So the Spirit Hashem was with you. But the second time you came for your honor. And the Spirit of Hashem was not with you. And that's why they attacked you. You know what it's almost like? I'll give you a great analogy. It's like a dog. If a dog attacks a human being, that means the dog looks at that human being like another dog. But if the human being is not an animal and is a righteous person, the dog will not attack him. I saw that happen to my dad. After Shabbat, I was not religious, he was. After Shabbat, we were coming back from shul, and there was a park that we used to cut across to get to our house quicker, our apartment quicker, and they used to have dogs used to come up there. They made it like into a dog park. So one day we were coming to cut through, and this German shepherd out of nowhere ran up to my dad like he was gonna rip him apart. And my dad just stood there, and the dog ran right up to him, like nuts. And the minute he got right up to my dad, he looked at him, stopped, and turned away. That's a true story. I'm not making it up. So I saw that live. That's what the Gemara says. He will see another dog. But my dad just came back from shul, Shomer Shabbat. He had the Spirit of Hashem on him. That's why the dog did that. You understand? The beauty of Torah is deep. The beauty of Torah is deep. Maybe I'll name that the lecture. The talk. I hate saying lecture. Hashem, I just want to thank you for getting me that job, that I have right now on the side. Something very small, but I really appreciate it. Because it's working with kids, and that's what I love, Nothing I love more than that, Even if I became one of the biggest speakers in the universe, I would still enjoy talking to the kids more than anybody. Because you could really change them, I'm not saying you can't change adults. You definitely could. I changed myself. But you have a much better shot with the youngins. Because they can still be molded, Usually the older you get, the bigger the ego, the more stubborn, you know what I'm saying? And that's really how I want to end this talk, is by letting you know the secret that I told you earlier. The only thing that will stop a person from doing tshuva is their ego. That's why the message here is put your ego down and make peace. Keep it classy always. Peace is peace. I was going to say priceless. Peace is priceless. That's how precise it is. Peace is priceless. Remember that. Without peace, you have nothing. You have $1 billion. Your kid is driving you nuts. You're never going to have peace. Ever. You could kiss peace. Bye-bye. But when you have Torah, and you can help your kid change and be a better person, then you have everything. Then you have $100 in your bank account, you have peace, you understand? And don't think if you have peace with $100 in your bank account and you break your head studying Torah that it's going to stay like that. It will not. God tells you that if you study Torah when you're poor, one day He will make you rich because of your sacrifice. He'll give you the double reward. That's what makes God great. He could give you see, people, they could just give you rewards here. Yeah, I could give you a gift here. I can't give you a gift in the next world, but God could. God gives gifts here and in the next world. That's what makes him better than anything ever. Hashem, I want to say thank you so much for all the stories I told, for coming to me in the middle of the lecture and making me feel like you were more with me than you were before. Just for everything you do for me, Hashem. I just want to say I love you. I thank you. Help me get to Israel in the most beautiful way ever, with grace, with honor, with respect, and with love, to show me that you're going to be with me when I go there. And when I'm there, that you will open up the gate of blessing for me so that I can continue to do my work and bless your children. Love you, Hashem.